We're recording.
All right. Hey, everybody. Hello, hello. It's Lisa Kidder. And we've got a phenomenal episode of American Woman today because you've got me, the American woman, but I've also got a wonderful American man here that we're going to be talking with today. He's my co-host and partner in crime here for today's episode, and his name is Len Mooney. Len and I work very closely together in several different projects, but most especially the number one is my website and lots of different trainings, tools, and all kinds of other additional things we're going to share with you here in just a few minutes. But Len, hey, thank you for being with me here today. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Lisa. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. I'm really excited and delighted to be here. And I actually did wonder how we were going to fit this into American Woman, because I think it's sort of obvious that I don't quite fit the category. but it's okay. It's okay. I'm happy to be on the show with you. I love your show, and I love your energy and what you've been doing with it. And,
yeah, well, thank you. Thank you. Hey, here's the good thing about American Woman is that we have about as many men that watch our show, Rihanna and I, at American Woman. We have about as many men as we do have women who watch our show. Yeah, very well received. It seems that there's something in there for everybody. So I know today's going to be really extra special. Our topic today, as you well know, is going to be vision. But before we get all to that, a lot of the people here, they know me. I'm a familiar face. They don't know you. So tell us a little bit. Just give us a quick snapshot of who is Len Mooney.
How many hours does this show?
Yeah, right.
You know, by background, I'm actually a technical kind of person. I grew up as an engineer and went to college and had degrees in engineering and things like that. So I have a very high technology background. But let's fast forward past all of that. In 2003, I bought a flight school, and this is sort of the important where this phase of my life begins. I bought a flight school, so I actually owned the California Flight Academy. It was a $5 million, well, it was a teeny tiny little business when I bought it, and we grew it up to be a $5 million business. And when the economy was collapsing in 2008, we went from a $5 million business down to a minuscule little business. We went from 120 students to less than 20 students. I mean, the bottom fell out. I laid off 45 people in 2009, and then I sold my interest, and I went to the mountains to become a ski bum, and then I got a lawsuit that took me down completely. So in 2013, I was basically on my knees financially, and I've been rebuilding myself ever since. So that's how I got into the online world, which is the piece of the world that you're in, rebuilding myself in the last 5 years or so, 5-6 years, and getting back on top of the world again. So, I mean, basically, that's who I am. I've been, as Oprah likes to say, I've been rich and I've been poor. Rich is definitely better.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, what a story. And I know you've got a lot more to that story, but what's exciting about, going through life's ups and downs is in the moment at the time, it's certainly, it might be exciting, but it isn't always in a positive way. I've been there myself, as you well know, been to the top and to the bottom more than once. But through all of that, we grow. Through all of that, we gain perspective. We gain life experiences. We grow as a person. We grow spiritually. We grow emotionally. Yeah. And we change and we adapt, and become better. And usually, we can become, what is it they say? You can become bitter or you can become better. Yeah. I always choose to become better, and I know you are the same way. And it's just great that you decided to come on here when I invited you today, because I think you've got just such a wonderful perspective and lots of experience to draw upon, and especially about our topic today, which is creating your vision or achieving your vision. And Len, tell me a little bit about that, because I know this is something that's somewhat of, your forte. You really, really are a believer in what you think about, you bring about, and about creating co-creating, a spirit, everything you really desire to achieve. And how does visioning, how does that fit in? And do most people, because I think if we went out and we interviewed a lot of people, they would say, I don't know, I don't even have a vision. And I know, and that's not true, because they vision themselves to be exactly where they are today. So tell me a little bit about your experience with creating a vision and some, maybe some strategies or tips that you can share with our viewers here today.
Well, first off, that's absolutely correct. And as you know, I have a talk that I give called Can I, which is Can I means continuous and never-ending improvement. Can I do this? Whatever this is for you, it doesn't matter. And one of the things I like to point out is, for example, I use sailing across the Pacific Ocean as an example. And I say, look, if you have a sailboat and you're going to leave port and you're going to head out into the ocean, the first thing you're going to have is a destination. You got to have a vision of where you're going to go. If you don't have that vision, well, first off, it's a trite saying, but how are you going to know when you get there?
Right.
And the other thing is, I want to come back to a minute, because so many people think they don't have a vision, but the reality is, you're right, they have a vision. If you want to know what your vision is, just look at your results.
Mm-hmm.
You are creating your life. And if you don't like the life you're creating, it's because that's the vision you have of your life. And so many people, they get themselves, we all go through ups and downs financially. And one of the things that many people do is they try to mask the downs with credit cards. Hey, they're broke, but they don't want their neighbors to know it. So they go out and buy things they can't afford with credit cards they can't pay. And then they wonder what happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
But, having a vision of where you want to go with your life is just fundamental. And Jack Canfield, chapter 3 of Jack Canfield's book, The Success Principles, he makes the observation that the vast majority of people don't know what they want. And that's a real serious, problem. And you notice people, they don't know what, they know what they don't want.
Right.
And they focus on what they don't want. And if you focus on what you don't want, what do you get more of?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You get more of what you don't want.
That's right, because that's where your energy's gone to. And a lot of people don't realize that your subconscious mind, not to mention as well as your conscious mind, but your subconscious mind goes to work to create whatever it is that you've been, where your attention's gone. It's sort of like the attention goes, where the energy flows. And if your energy and all of your attention is in or focused on what you didn't want to accomplish or what you don't want to happen, then guess what? That's energetically where you're putting your heart. That's where you're putting your mind. That's basically where you're putting your life force. And guess what? When you focus on that, we always talk about this, what you focus on expands and what you think about becomes. And a lot of times people say, well, God just must be out to get me, or, the universe is out to get me. It's like, no, this is what you've been focusing on. And, if that's where you're focusing your attention, then don't be surprised if you create more of what you didn't want in the first place, right? You're visioning that for yourself.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And one of the examples I use, for example, too, people say affirmations don't work. Because we tell people, one of the things we do is we talk to people about using affirmations or other strategies to reprogram your subconscious mind.
Right.
And so let me give you, an example. For example, someone is using affirmations and they're standing in front of a mirror and they're doing everything they're told. And they're looking at themselves and they're saying, "I am wealthy. I am wealthy." Meanwhile, the monkeys are going, "No, you're not. There's $1 bills on the kitchen table. You're not wealthy." And so they're arguing with themselves. And what you have to do, and what I try to teach people to do, is get on the other side of that equation. So many people equate wealth with how much money do I have in my bank.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the trick. For most of it, there are no poor people in the United States. I promise you, no matter how little you have, you can find somebody in the world who has less. I've been talking to a lady, for example, in the Philippines, who works 6 days a week and makes $100 a month, and she sends half of it home to her parents. So here's the deal. You got a house, you got a roof, you got a fridge, you got food, you got a car, you got running water. You're wealthy. Focus on what you have. Redefine wealth. It's not just how much money's in your checking account, it's the total wealth in your life. And we're all in the top few percent of the world, right? We're all very wealthy.
Yeah, and also, I did a course with a gentleman named Frederick Lehrman back in the mid-90s. I started making a lot of money. And I had gone from being a broke, struggling, single mom for so many years. That was what I was accustomed to. And when the finances started to change, my mindset and my attitude really hadn't changed about money. And I started working with a gentleman named Frederick Lehrman, and he's the author of an audio series that came out in the early 90s called Prosperity Consciousness. And working with him, it was just so eye-opening to realize that wealth and prosperity is a state of mind. It really is more so than it is, like you say, one way of measuring wealth or prosperity is by way of the dollars and cents in our bank account. But as you said, there's a lot of other ways of measuring it. And his whole thing is you're wealthy and prosperous if you can move effortlessly through life, happy and with joy, whether you have money or not. And meaning you've got wealth of your health, right? If you're healthy,
Right.
you have way more wealth than any monetary dollars could ever accumulate if you're healthy. You got your mental health, your physical health, right?
Absolutely.
If you have healthy relationships, if you've got love in your life, no matter what, if it's from a cat, if it's from a dog, if it's from a human being, if you've got love in your life, then you're abundantly wealthy. And
Yes.
it was such a great way for me to make that shift from realizing, wait a minute, I was wealthy all along. And just because now the money is flowing in, it hasn't changed who I am as a person. I'm still the same person. I'm still a well-grounded, kind, loving, all of that. The money is not going to change me unless I change. So anyway, the whole point of the story is that you're correct. I mean, it is, there's many ways to measure wealth, and one of those ways are wealth and prosperity and abundance. And one of those measurements is the actual monetary side of it. But there's so much more to being wealthy and to being prosperous than just that.
No, that's absolutely, absolutely correct. And the monetary side of it, and what I tell people, if they're going, I am wealthy, and the little monkeys are going, there, not you got a pile of bills on the table. That's simply a cash flow management problem.
Mm-hmm.
Learn to manage your money, and then they'll say, well, I'd be happy to learn how to manage my money. I'll start doing that when I get some.
Right.
See, that's the reason you don't have any money, is because you're not managing what you do have. You just reminded me of a really fascinating story. Neil Donald Walsh, the author of Conversations with God, tells a story about a panhandler in San Francisco. The guy was absolutely, by our standards, had nothing. He panhandled every day for a couple or $3.
Right.
And he gave the money he had away every day to people who had less than he had. And he considered himself to be very wealthy. He was very happy. And the people that lived on the street had a special name for him. I don't know what it was, but he was like the king of the street or something, because he helped all of the other poor people.
Right.
And we say poor in the sense of moneyless, but he considered himself to be very wealthy. He was able to go out and make a few dollars every day panhandling and then give it away to his friends. What you give away, you get to keep.
Right.
It's an amazing way of viewing this stuff.
It is. And when we come back to the topic of which and ties all of this in together nicely, and the topic being creating your vision. So if you are unhappy with what you currently have in your life or where you currently are in your life, the first thing to do is to acknowledge and to appreciate and be grateful for what you do have, no matter what, how limiting it might be. And then also to take a look and say, how can I change this?
Right.
What are some of my first steps I must take in order to change this current situation? And the very first one is to become aware of what your thought processes are, is to recognize, wait, this is a pattern. I do have a lot of stinking thinking going on. And how can I expect to live differently if these are my predominant thoughts, as we talked about? So that's the very first place. What's another step someone can take, Len, that you recommend?
Well, let me answer that in a second, but I want to, can I pick up on that theme for just a moment? Because one of the things that we now really fully understand is that our subconscious mind was programmed between the ages of roughly -3 months to 7 years. At that time of our life, our brain is in a hypnotic state. It's just absorbing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were raised in an environment where any negativity around money was talked about, or your parents argued about it, or hey, what do you think? What do you think I'm made of? Do you think money grows on trees? Any of that kind of stuff. You're carrying that negativity around with you, and you don't know it because it's in your subconscious mind. How do you know it's there? Look at your results.
Right.
If you're not getting the results you want to get, you got to look down into your subconscious mind. So what do you got to do? And what you have to do is sit down and really create a vision for yourself. Ask yourself the question, where do I see myself? And I like to tell people 3 to 5 years. 1 year is too short. We tend to really overestimate what we can do in 1 year, and we tend to underestimate what we can do in 3 to 5 years. So where do you want to be in 3 to 5 years?
Right.
Do you see yourself in the same place you are today? Where do you live? Where do you go to work? Or do you go to work? Or do you have your own business? Where do your kids go to school? What do you drive? Where do you go on vacation? What charities do you contribute to? How are you impacting the world? And create this picture of where you want to be. And then, create a vision board or create a mind movie and use those tools to help reprogram your subconscious and get it focused on where you want to go instead of where you've been.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Oh, definitely. And, years ago, I started what, you just referenced as a vision board. And I did one for myself, and I put it up, and it was in my office where I had to see it every single day, right by my, workspace, creation space. And my son, Brendan, who now is, 36 and extremely known. He's successful. He's making a difference in people's lives. He did his vision board at the same time. And at that point, he was probably, oh gosh, what would he have been about? Maybe 14 or 15 when he did his first vision board with me. And that was the first time he read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. He was 14 when he finished that book and did a report on it in school. But, I remember we created our visions, and then one by one, each of us have accomplished pretty much every single thing. I accomplished every single thing that was on my vision board. All the places I said I was going to go, Aruba, Jamaica, Bahamas, Europe, every place I said on that board that I was going to go and visit, I did. I went to every single one of those places, and in one by one, but it wasn't like I was focused on them. It's just like you said, I allowed myself, my conscious mind to ideal what it was I truly desired, and then allowed my subconscious mind to go to work to assist me in creating it, along with taking the daily necessary action steps on my part. I didn't just sit on the couch and vision all of this happening and then it happened. I took my necessary action steps, such as you said, where do you desire to be? Okay, if we go 3 years out and you desire to live in that home and you desire to drive that car and you desire your children to go to that school, then we kind of work it like an equation and we work backwards. Like, okay, that's where you desire to be. Now come back to today. What are some of the steps you can take today to begin to accomplish those goals? And one of them, as you mentioned, is the vision board. And it's extremely powerful. I think people really underestimate just how powerful having a vision board, or a dream board as it's often called. And ladies, I know there's a lot of ladies watching our show. It's American Woman. How many of you get on Pinterest every single day? Well, I have on your Pinterest a board that you call my dream board or my life vision board. And then that's a great place to start pinning these things that you desire to accomplish in your life. And it's an easy way of doing it. You don't have to go get a whole big stack of magazines like we used to and sit down and cut them out, although that's very therapeutic and that's a great exercise in and of itself. But if you're not in a position to do that, you can get on Pinterest and name a board, my vision board or my dream board, and start filling it up. But the main thing is to start thinking about, if you want to experience something different, you're going to have to see something different for yourself and for your life, and attach yourself. And I'm going to turn this back over to Len, because I know this is an area he's really good on. As far as taking it to the next step. next step, you know?
You're absolutely spot on. And in today with the internet, it's easy to find pictures of anything you want. I
Mhm.
mean, it's easy to
Right.
create a vision board online that you can go look at every day for yourself and hang it up, and even make it part of your wall on your computer, where you wake up and
Right.
on your computer, there's your vision board. And but the other thing you said that's very interesting, that ties into all this, is the idea of also letting go. let we hear let go, let God. And Joe Vitale, in his book, The Attractor Factor, the fifth step in the attractor factor is to let go. And
Mhm.
the reason we need to let go is because if we focus on what we want, once again, we're slipping into the idea that we don't have it yet. We need to
Mhm.
be very careful to walk that line between the vision of where we're going. We have to see the vision of where we're going, but not focus on lack in the present. Does that make sense?
Oh, definitely. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So create the vision board, look at it once or twice a day, and then let go, and then create the action plan. Back to my sailing across the Pacific Ocean analogy. So you got your boat, you got your vision, we're going to Hawaii. Now what are you going to do? Going to sit in the bar and drink? You're not going to get to Hawaii that way. You got to take action. And that's one of the critical things that people, they miss. They don't really understand it. And one of the things that we find is that people give up way too soon. How many times have you heard the comment that people quit right before the magic happens?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So having a plan, maybe having a mentor or a coach, getting into action, taking action every day, moving towards your goal, making course corrections if the wind isn't blowing the way you thought. You reset the sails so that you're staying on course and moving towards your goals or your dream on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Action.
And I mean, if you're thinking, well, that means I've got to get a different job, then I guess you better figure out how you're going to get a different job. If that means you've got to do some continuing education or develop some new skills or learn something, new, or you want to launch a business of your own. So you're going to start researching with maybe your limited budget or limited resources. What type of a business can I have? Whatever it's going to take, that's what you're going to do, because this vision means that much to you. Changing your life means that much to you. Living a bigger, more fulfilled life, a purposeful life, means that much to you. So
Yeah.
you've got to be willing to take those steps. And like Len said, it's, okay, what do I have to do? And it is all about action. As I said, I suppose if you're really, really, a powerful meditator, you could probably sit on the couch and eventually manifest or attract to you exactly what it is you desire. But honestly, that's just a long process and a slow road to achieving it, versus you've got, spirit will do spirit's part. You've got to do your part. And that means getting off the couch and taking those steps.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things that I've said, there are people that talk about if you really if you were really vibrationally aligned with what you really wanted, then you wouldn't take all this action. Well, if I'm sitting on my deck and I want a new RV, I don't believe there's any vibrational alignment between me and that RV that's going to cause that RV to drive out onto my deck. I think I have to go get it.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's a
absolutely.
certain amount, the universe will do its part, but you have to do yours. You got to meet the universe halfway.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that brings me to another thing that I think that's sort of fundamentally very important, and that is belief in yourself. In fact, it was Art Williams who made the comment that the biggest problem Americans have today is they don't believe in themselves. So,
Mm-hmm.
people say, well, gosh, yeah, that may not be for me. I don't know. That's for them, the other guys. That's not for me. You got to believe that what you want is achievable, that you can get it, and you can get it for you. And you got to stay the course, no matter how tough the course is. So you can
Yeah.
make progress or make excuses.
Yeah. One of my mottos is what one has done, all may do. So if someone else has accomplished it, then you can too. You just simply have to find out what did they do to get what they got. You do what they did and you'll get what they got as well. It's not that complicated. I mean, it is a basic formula, of success.
Success leaves clues.
Yeah, exactly. Follow in the footsteps of those who led the way and have achieved whatever it is that you desire to accomplish. And Len, I know we said we're going to keep this short today, so let's give them a couple final steps. We can always come back again because this is a topic we could literally. I've done an 8-hour training on this topic.
Oh yeah, I've got a whole workshop, a 6-module workshop called the Ultimate Vision Workshop, and we talk about. We start with talking about the law of attraction and how it really works, and how your brain really works to talk to the universe, and then and then your core values and building belief in yourself. And I mean, actually building the vision is like step 4 or 5, because we have to build the belief in yourself and your core values and et cetera before we even get to the vision. But, and then
and we'll exactly. We'll come back and elaborate on this, but let's talk about that. Where can they find this material? Because you're right, we barely touched on it. We kind of just gave them the highlights. Where can they find more of this information?
Well, one way is they can find it right on your website. If they were to go to lisakidder.com and go to the store and look for the products that the things that you suggest, Lisa recommends or Lisa suggests, the Ultimate Vision Workshop is right there. And as a special for your audience, we've dropped the price 50%. So it's a $98 product. It's been on my website for $98 for a couple years now. We dropped that. We have a special going on your website for half price, 50% off right now today. People can pick up the product. It's a 6-module course, and of course there's a money back guarantee. If it doesn't, and I guarantee it will help anyone who goes through it.
Yeah.
And as you know, this isn't a once and done. This is something that you have to work with and assimilate and grow with.
That's right. Yeah, you work on yourself and you go through the steps, and you may have to go through them a couple of times and then go back and go through the checklist and so forth. But just a reminder, you can find that either at Lisa Kitter, Lisa, Kitter, KITTER.com, or you can also find it by going to AmericanWomanTV.com and then snooping around a little bit on the site once you're there. And as Len said, you can go to the shop section. And or Lisa recommends, there's some great areas there that you can find all of this good stuff. But what a great price! I mean, half price for our viewers today. So don't walk, run, over there, and let's get you all set up with some material that you can start to implement, and so you can achieve your goals, you can achieve your dreams, you can achieve your vision on purpose, not just falling into stuff that isn't really what you wanted to happen. And then Len and I'll come back for another segment of creating your vision on American Woman TV, and we'll take you to the next step. But in the meantime, get the material into your hands so you can start that process on your own. Len, any final thoughts here today?
Well, the only final thought would be, if any of your viewers get the course and they have any questions or need some personal assistance, they can feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to work with them on a one-on-one basis.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can find information on how to do that on my website as well, or just fill out the form. There's a form there you can just fill out and say, hey, I want to get in touch with Len, or hey, Lisa, I want to talk with you, or I want to talk with Len, or I'd like to learn more about this personal coaching or personal mentoring, or I couldn't find the material, where is it? Or I couldn't find that vision workbook, whatever it is, the vision course, the self-study course. Just message us right there from the site. You can find us also on social media. We are not difficult to find. We're easy to locate, especially on Twitter and I know many of you are no longer on Facebook, but Len and I have such a huge audience over there. We're still over on Facebook as well. So
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, we're all over the place.
Yeah, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Len, thank you so much. I'm so glad you were able to join us here today for an episode of American Woman. Thank you to all of you who plugged in. We'll look forward to having Len back again. And of course, I'll be back again. Matter of fact, Rihanna and I are going to be doing our cooking show here very soon. So
you owe me a piece of meatloaf.
I know, right? We got to airlift and get it over to Len, that piece of meatloaf. But anyway, thanks everyone for being here. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, thanks, Len.
Bye for now.